Hello and welcome back to Gospel First. I'm your host, Joe Cirillo, and I'm grateful that you're here with me today. As we continue, remember, this isn't about mastering the scriptures, it's about letting the scriptures quietly master us. 10 minutes a day, faithfully offered, creates room for real change. Today we're in Matthew 7 and 8, and the movement is beautiful. Jesus finishes his longest sermon by talking about foundations, and then he immediately comes down the mountain and shows us what those foundations look like in real life. And so today we're listening for two things: what we're building on and how Jesus responds to need. So let's get started. Now, in this chapter here, Jesus ends his longest sermon by talking about foundations, and then he immediately shows us what those foundations look like in real life. Jesus says, "Judge not that ye be not judged." That's in Matthew 7, verse 1. This is often misunderstood. Jesus is not saying that we never recognize right from wrong. He is warning us about harshness. He continues in Matthew 7, verse 3. "Why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thine own eye?" Jesus is inviting humility, not silence. Now, people grow best where they are understood, not constantly measured. So what's the principle? Jesus invites us to lead with mercy, not superiority. Next, we're going to cover Matthew 7, verses 7 to 11. In Matthew 7, he says, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." These verbs are ongoing. Ask, again. Seek, patiently. Knock, even when it feels quiet. Jesus anchors this promise in relationship. "If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him?" So as we can see from these verses, God is not distant. He's really attentive. So there's a little bit of a gentle reflection here. What have I quietly stopped asking God for? Where might I need to knock again, trusting his goodness? Next is Matthew 7, 24 to 27. Jesus closes his sermon with a picture. "Whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock." And then he says in verse 25, "The rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew." Now notice something important here. Both houses experience storms. The difference is not whether storms come, but what we build on. Small daily faithfulness creates strength long before storms arrive. And the principle here is consistency matters more than intensity in discipleship. Next, we're going to cover Matthew 8, 1 to 4. Matthew tells us here in Matthew 8, 1, "When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him." Then in Matthew 8, 2, immediately a man with leprosy approaches Jesus and says, "Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean." Then comes one of the most tender moments in the Gospels. "And Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean." And before the healing, before the command, Jesus touches him. Here, Jesus is not afraid of brokenness. Something that we can really ponder on is, where do I believe Jesus is not afraid of my wounds? Who might need compassion before correction? Then Matthew chapter 8, verses 5 to 13, there's great faith from an outsider. And it says, "Next comes a Roman centurion who's not part of Israel. And he says, Speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed." Then in Matthew 8:10, Jesus responds and he says, "I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel." Now you notice here that Jesus honors trust, not status. Faith is not about background. It's about confidence in Christ's authority and goodness. Next, in Matthew chapter 8, verses 14 to 17, we talk about how Jesus took our infirmities. Jesus here heals Peter's mother-in-law. Then many others come. Now, Matthew explains why this matters, because in Matthew 17, himself took our infirmities and bare our sicknesses. Now, Jesus does not rush past suffering. He absorbs it with compassion. So in closing, I want you to think about this, that Jesus teaches us to build carefully. Then he steps into pain and touches it. Truth and compassion are not opposites in him. So if today feels stormy or unfinished or tender, remember, the same Jesus who teaches about strong foundations also reaches out his hand and says, I will. So as we close, I want to thank you once again for being here with us. May the Spirit continue to fill your heart and draw you closer to Jesus Christ. If your heart feels even a gentle nudge, I invite you to subscribe, like, and share so that we can spread the gospel of Jesus Christ together. And I'll see you tomorrow as we continue walking with Matthew in Matthew chapter 9. Until then, God bless.